Okay, Doc, we're back with Doc and the Boxer. I'm Andrew Singh Kooner, and this is
Doc Green.
Dr. Len Green and Doc and the Boxer, and we're here with our episode 53, and we're actually gonna spend some time talking about the big Manny Pacquiao and Yordenis Ugas fight, and possibly the last fight in Pacquiao's illustrious career. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about we'll set it up like
Yeah, do your intro, bro.
We'll do the whole setup, and so this is Saturday night at the T-Mobile in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have Yordenis 54 Milagros. I don't know what that means.
Milagros. I don't know.
Milagros. I gotta check that out. Ugas from Cuba, by way of Cuba, fighting out of Florida, retains his WBA welterweight title and improves to 27-4 with 12 KOs with a unanimous decision: 115-113, 116-112, 116-112 over Manny Pacquiao from General City, Santos, Philippines, or Serengeti province, one of the two. Anyways, who falls now to 62-8-2, 39 KOs. And we'll just go right at it, Doc. And what were your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, so I'm gonna focus first on Pacquiao, and then I'll come to Ugas, and then relate them together.
And then, Doc, when you talk, like, don't do it so long that I'm gonna have to remember everything, because my memory span is not the greatest, right?
Let's go point by point.
Okay.
Okay. So first with Pacquiao, hand speed. He still got it. Would you agree?
I agree. Like he threw over 400 plus more punches than Ugas in the whole fight. Fast hands.
Yeah, fast hands. But the difference are his feet. They're not as fast as they used to be. He was having trouble closing the distance, but that also has a lot to do with Ugas. So just and he wasn't getting the angle. He had a tough time getting the angle on taking an angle on Ugas. So his feet.
Okay,
that was something that had declined, I think.
Right. So that was my initial point as well too. The big point is that your legs go when you're like we expected Gilmer Rigondeaux to stand there like he did with the other guys that he fought prior to Casemiro, but he really didn't. He moved around and made it a lackluster fight. But we were thinking the same thing with Pacquiao. He's gonna have that move, not the same thing, but that movement and those angles that Pacquiao used to come from, and unorthodox, whatever, how that's what made him a dangerous fighter throughout his career. And that was not relevant. That was not prevalent in this fight at all. But this is what Pacquiao is saying, and like we have the utmost respect for Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao, for sure. And if he says something, we have to listen to it. He's not one to make excuses and stuff. But this is what he says here: is like, I'm not saying this. Oh, I'll do it exact. I'm not saying this is my excuse, but my two legs were cramping. That's why I couldn't move around. In my early days, I could easily move and outbox. This time around, it's like my two legs were tight and hurting me in the second round until the 12th. I'm not making excuses, but that's the reason why I couldn't move.
Yeah, and I think we both saw that as well. But when you look at Ugas's skills, he did a few things also that effectively prevented Pacquiao from getting the angle. One is he'd throw that left jab out there.
Yeah.
So he was having trouble getting around the jab. He turned it into a hook sometimes. So that's a great way to counter a guy that's got fast feet. And the other thing is On the odd time, I noticed when Pacquiao did get an angle on Ugas, Ugas has a quick pivot. He pivoted very quickly and would pivot, and then he would be just out of range, and Pacquiao would be reaching. So there were also a few reasons. I think those are reasons also why he couldn't get the angle, not just his own ability, but Ugas's ability.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so, like, we've only known Pacquiao really to say, like, this time how he's saying about his legs, and in the Mayweather fight, after the fight, you know, his shoulder, but then he had the surgery after, so it was legitimate. Listen, I'm not siding with anybody here. I mean, we can't take anything away from Ugas because, first of all, he's an Olympic bronze medalist. He had over 400 plus amateur fights. You know, he's very well seasoned coming from a program in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
And you know he's a very well schooled fighter. And what you alluded to was correct, and the length of his jab and how accurate he was in this fight. Like, the power punches alone, he landed 59% of power punches.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and Pacquiao threw only 68 punches per round and just landing at 16%. And we know Pacquiao to throw lots of punches, but he wasn't able to.
No, and we gotta give Ugas a lot of credit for that Cuban defensive prowess.
Yeah.
And remember, there was one where he had his hands up, but you could see he's still looking, and he blocked, I think, 3 or 4, a 4-punch combination, just hit all arm from Pacquiao.
Right.
So he had defensive skills, and the other thing with Ugas, he would move back, even if he got a little bit like shaken, but he was never really hurt. And then he would stand his ground and deliver counter punches. And I think that he caught Pacquiao with a lot of counter punches.
For sure he did. Yes. The counter punching. Yeah. The counter punching was right on. The Pacquiao would throw, Ugas would take that little step, bang, 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 right hand, straight jab, you know, on the southpaw. The right hand is a great weapon. So
well,
pardon?
Used his reach advantage like very, very efficiently.
And you know, in the lead up to the fight, like the weigh-in and everything, you can see the size difference. There was a huge size difference between these two fighters.
Yeah.
Even though they weighed in the same weight class. Ugas, he landed 100. No, sorry. Okay, so listen to this stat. So Ugas landed 151 of 405 punches in the fight. Pacquiao landed 130 of 815.
What a difference percentage-wise. Connect that. Huge.
Ugas connected with more power punches. And this is how and you know, combi box, it's not definitely correct and everything, but it gives you an idea.
Right.
Ugas landed power punches 101 of 71. Sorry, 101 of 171 he landed power shots to Pacquiao's 88 of 340.
It's incredible, the difference and power. And that's why Pacquiao's face looked swollen and busted up after the fight, was because that's a high percentage and a high number period of connects on power punches.
Right, from a bigger guy too.
Yeah.
With a bigger guy. So in the post-fight press interview, obviously the first question is what everyone wants to know. What do you fight on, right? And this is what he says. I don't know. Let me rest and relax and make a decision if I will still fight. I will make a final announcement next month. And this is talking about for running for presidency of the Philippines, because that's being talked about. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because it looks like he will run for presidency, and if he does, then his boxing career will be, because the race alone in the campaign lasts. It's a 6-year term in the Philippines president.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think based on that performance, and it still was a great performance by Pacquiao. I mean, he beats a lot of guys with a performance like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to most, I've seen him get hit with power punches.
Right. I mean, like, honestly, the thing is, like, if he would have won, we would have said, oh, 42-year-old, he's still going and stuff. But he lost, and everyone's saying, oh, he's old. But really, he is. Like, Father Time, you cannot stop Father Time. That's an undefeated opponent.
Yeah.
There's only some cases in boxing history, like Bernard Hopkins and things like that. But Bernard Hopkins didn't take the amount of punches that Manny Pacquiao took in his career.
Yeah, true.
And that plays a big factor.
It does. I don't think he had as many pro fights either as Pacquiao did.
Yeah, that's another point too.
Yeah.
You know,
and I, if he's already talking about, first he's going into the fight saying that the layoff was good for him and helped his body repair.
Yeah.
He's in great shape.
Yeah.
But then after the fight, he said, in this, like you quoted, in the second round, my legs were cramping up from the second to the 12th. So even when this guy is in his best shape, in the second round, his legs are cramping up. And that's a guy that sets up every punch through his feet. So I don't know. I think now is a good time to say, I've done it.
Goodbye. Because the thing is, like, even with the loss, it's not like his legacy is tarnished at all. And it's actually, in fact, the opposite. Like, it's like he won, even though he didn't win. Because he's still, people, when they're going to look at his career, are not going to look at this fight. This fight was like, he's still trying to fight the best guys. Like, okay, he didn't do it, but let's not even talk about that. Look at everything else that he did leading up to this, right?
Right. And also, were you entertained by this fight?
Yeah, I was. I definitely was. I just really hope that Pacquiao, like 2 years ago, he fought Keith Thurman, and he beat Thurman. Like, it wasn't dominated Keith Thurman, but he clearly won against Keith Thurman 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that the 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao would be still the 42-year-old. We'll see that kind of performance again. He'll make everyone a believer again, make all those people say, no, he's not, and prove them all wrong. But the Father Time, not everyone can dodge it. You can dodge it for as much as you can, but then it's going to catch up to you.
And also, big difference between Thurman, who, I really like Thurman, but Thurman does not have the defensive prowess that Ugas has.
Good point. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So that made a big difference in this fight. The other thing I liked about Ugas was his stance. Like, he had a perfect boxer's stance, and his legs were like a little bit wider apart. It made harder for Pacquiao to step around that front foot.
Yeah.
There were times when he just stayed in the pocket. How many guys stay in the pocket with Pacquiao?
Yeah.
This guy did, and he didn't get hit that much in the pocket, and he delivered.
And he had the tight defense on the inside, the shell like. So what another thing that Pacquiao did say, he's like, in regards to the change of opponents 11 days before the bout, and Manny was offered the Ugas fight, right? And he could have said no to it. When Spence pulled out 11 days ago, he could have said no.
For sure.
He could have said, but he took the fight. We got to give him credit for that
Yeah,
because
you're right.
Ugas is a really good fighter. Like
Yeah,
he really beat Porter, but didn't get the decision.
true.
And Pacquiao goes. It was a big adjustment just for a few days to train, so it's good, but that's boxing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's training for Spence, who's a lefty as well. So I'm sure a lot of his training partners were long lefties.
Yeah.
But you know, Ugas has the same, can you say the same thing? I was training for this other opponent's style, and at the last minute, I'm in with Pacquiao. So I think those two things
That's
kind of
true.
cancel each other out. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. Um, and then so there is a rematch clause in this fight. Um, but it hasn't been determined yet if it's going to be exercised or not. But Pacquiao's going to announce if he's going to run for president of the Philippines in 2022, and the election is scheduled for May 9th, 2022. If he will, if he would be elected, he would serve a 6-year term. So that's the end of his career.
And almost another year older.
Pacquiao, when asked about his future in boxing, in the future, you might not see Manny Pacquiao fight again in the ring. I don't know, but for how many decades, I'm so happy for what I've done in boxing. And that's so true.
He's a legend.
He's a legend.
For sure.
The
other thing what I like to, I saw a similar, I saw the problem more prevalent in this fight for Pacquiao when I compare it to Lomachenko's last fight with the Japanese fighter.
Nakatani.
So, right?
Yeah.
What was the guy's name?
Nakatani.
So
Masayoshi Nakatani.
Very good. So he's Loma's a lefty like Pacquiao as well, but Loma was able, and he fought Nakatani, who was taller, bigger, and longer reach. So some similarities with Ugas as far as that goes.
Yeah.
The physicality of it. But you can see that Lomachenko had figured out ways to get inside so he can deliver his combinations. And you see the difference in the foot speed as well with Loma. I mean, he was able to get angles all day on Nakatani, where Pacquiao couldn't figure out how to get an angle on this guy.
Yeah, I think it could have been one thing, could have been the leg cramp stuff. I don't know, because it was definitely not the Pacquiao that we're used to seeing. But maybe he grew old on us overnight, and I mean, I wouldn't say overnight, but he grew old on us, and we didn't expect to see him like that. But now it's happened. Like and this might be his last swan song, and then he's out of here.
But even looking at his record with some of his losses, he lost to highly skilled defensive counterpunchers, Mayweather, Marquez. That's a you need your legs when you fight guys like that. So I think other guys that are big punchers, like a Porter, for example, I think Pacquiao would have done much better against a Porter than a guy that's got the defensive skills like Ugas.
Yeah, and see, and that's why I brought that up. That like Pacquiao won 11 days ago when Errol Spence pulled out. Pacquiao didn't have to take this fight. They could have went back to the drawing board and figured out, like, let's look, because when it's at this level, the opponents are looked at, and picking an opponent is a very important job for the matchmaker to do. A really important. So maybe he goes back, then they pick. But the thing is, he's running out of time too.
Right.
His age.
If he didn't fight this fight,
yeah,
when would have been his next fight and who would he have fought.
Right. And he's in great shape for this fight. But what he said about that too, he was talking about alluding to it because we all saw his training and stuff and how great he looked. And, you know, there was rumors that Errol Spence is faking an injury because he's seen Manny Pacquiao training like this and that and whatever. But it may have been like he may have overtrained. He may have. It's a
Good point.
possibility, but at this juncture and this many fights, like, you know, it's not your first rodeo.
Yeah.
Like, you've been to many rodeos,
Yeah.
so you know what to do.
Right. The only intangible with that is his age. And he may have been training like he's still early 30s as opposed to training more appropriate for 42. That's just speculation. Who
But
knows?
Doc, remember when we had John Pascal on and he talked about like being older and the way he trained?
You're right. That's right.
But and Pacquiao said the same thing. He's like, if I needed a day off, I took a day off.
Yeah.
I'd take like 2 days off in a week if I needed to. But then he was saying that he was running up the mountains in LA a lot, like a fast up the mountains. Then he's doing like 36 rounds of like all the like bag and pads and all that stuff. And
yeah,
who knows what it is.
Yeah, it's still something valid to consider anyways.
We have to give Freddie Roach a lot of credit too, because Freddie Roach has been with Pacquiao since Pacquiao first came to America and had that big title opportunity and made that big splash in Pacquiao. And Freddie Roach has been with them since day one. And Freddie Roach says this, he's like, you know, I'm a little bit worried about it. Yes, he boxed a long time, and he boxed with me for a long time. He's my best customer I've ever had. He's the best guy, the best fighter. And, you know, I hate to see the day that when he retires, but this could be it. He didn't have a great performance tonight, but we'll see what Manny decides, because ultimately it's up to him.
Sure. I mean, what if he runs for this election and he doesn't win?
He's good. That's it. He's gone. Oh, he runs for the election?
Let's say he runs for the election, but he doesn't win.
Yeah. But
so
I mean,
does box. I don't know.
I mean, the thing, yeah, possibly. But the thing is, like, can you foresee him losing? Like the whole country, the Philippines loves the guy.
Yeah.
Like he's like a Muhammad Ali-esque type of fighter.
Yeah, you're right. He's got a very good chance to win.
Yeah. I think that's almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like he's a senator and now he's going to become the president of the country.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So we'll see then. We'll see what happens. You know, his career, his career touched 4 decades. Like he's been a champion in 4 decades.
It's incredible,
isn't it?
8 weight classes.
8 weight class champion, world champion.
It's amazing.
And he always fought everybody. He didn't duck nobody. He fought at the one time he was called the Mexicutioner because he beat Juan Manuel Marquez, he beat Barrera, Eric Morales. He was a Mexicutioner beating these guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, amazing fighter. But now, and you see how right after the fight, like Crawford is like, damn, man, I wish I'd done that fight. And even Spence spoke up after the fight and said, oh, if that based on what happened against Ugas, against me, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Something like that, he said.
You know what? And that's right. I thought about that. I'm like, honestly, it's the way things work out is a way that it worked out, and thank God it worked out that way, because on Errol Spence, like the one that beat that would be Danny Garcia. He looked like he was back in form after the accident. He would have really put some hurt on Pacquiao. I think so. Unfortunately, I really do.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Now, as far as Ugas and another fight, does Ugas, because he's got a belt. Yeah. Crawford's got a belt, and Spence has a belt in that.
And you know that WBA belt was Pacquiao's that got stripped from Pacquiao, and WBA gave it to Ugas.
Yeah, true. So, how do you think that dynamic is gonna be affected? Like, who do you see fighting who?
I mean, like, we obviously we got to throw Ugas into the equation now because he's got a belt, but I like, let's see if the Terrence Crawford and
Porter
and Porter fight. So this is gonna be done. This fight is gonna happen. Top Rank and PBC, they were unable to work out a deal, so it goes to purse bid, and that's scheduled for September 2nd at the Top Rank office. So then we'll see what the purse. Well, that doesn't matter. We'll see the exact date of when this fight is going to happen. It's happening, though, for sure. And absolutely. I would say, honestly, like the injury that Errol Spence has, I think it's. I know it's not a detached retina, and it's a retina tear, but this could be like career kind of going down now, maybe ending from this. I don't see him like I will he be back in 100% form with a torn. I know he'll have it repaired and stuff.
He will be. He will
100%. Like,
I believe so. It also depends on where the tear was. Was it closer to the macula, which is the center part of your vision, or was it closer to the lateral part or medial part, to the edges of the? Usually, it's closer to the edge of the retina. But that type of tissue does heal when it's a tear. And we also know that Sugar Ray Leonard came back after a detached retina, after 3, but I mean that was 3 years, mind you. So I do think he'll be back, and I think he'll be back in 2022. At the maybe even as early as the spring of 2022.
Really?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
So I mean, like that's still that's a significant amount of time still that we won't see him in the ring. Right. So I'm honestly I'm swaying the way of Terrence Crawford being the king of that weight class at 147.
We may even see next year, or probably maybe at the beginning in the winter of next year, maybe we'll see if Crawford gets by Porter, which the odds are that he will. Anything can happen, but he may get a fight with Ugas. But then we also got to throw Virgil Ortiz into the mix too.
And Ennis, Boots Ennis.
And Boots Ennis, are they going to put him up against a top fighter? I don't know. And then Keith Thurman is still kind of buzzing around now.
Thurman's still there, but isn't he going up in weight? I don't know. I thought I heard he's going to 54.
At 154, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's a pretty deep division, 147.
Yeah, for sure it is, and it always has been in boxing, the welterweight division.
Now's the time too, with Spence out, to get some fights under your belt if you're in that division. And then speaking of fights, then we have the on and off Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez fight is now. First, it wasn't gonna happen because they couldn't agree on contractual obligations, and
I think the thing was Canelo had something in the contract that stated if Caleb Plant got injured, that he could pick an opponent, and he was still get the same amount of money that he was gonna get for fighting Caleb Plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Against a nobody, to whoever it was.
So the other thing with Canelo is this is going to be a fight that he co-promotes as well.
Yeah, because now he's not like, even with DAZN, he's not with DAZN anymore, and he's
independent. So
independent.
Yeah. So if this, but it looks like it's going to happen, this fight. Which
it's 100% happening, and there's a date for it. It's in November. I think it's November 9th or November 6th. November 6th. November 6th. That was originally supposed to happen on September 16th, Mexican Independence Day.
Yeah. That's why I was surprised to hear he's fighting in November. And that's going to be his third fight this year in 2021.
No, I think it's like his fourth or something.
So at the beginning of the year, he fought, right?
Yeah.
Who did he fight? He beat him quite handily. Some European fighter, I think.
You got
and then he fought again. My memory sucks, dude.
No, I know. Let me just see. Okay, so Canelo, come on.
But it could be his fourth fight.
His last
2-fight year for a few years.
His last fight was Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
That was in May, and then Ivani Yildirim.
That's who I was thinking of.
Callum Smith.
Yeah.
Callum Smith, Sergey Kovalev. But did I miss a few?
No, but
Sergey Kovalev, Daniel Jacobs, Rocky Fielding.
Yeah, but in 2021, so this is going to be his fourth fight in 2021.
Yeah, so 2021. Wait, it'll be his third fight.
Third?
Yeah,
well, before Yildirim, he fought
Callum Smith.
That wasn't in January of 21.
That was in 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so his third fight.
Yeah, still like a lot.
It is for this modern time, but I like it because I think he likes it too, because he's very active. He's sharp. Keeps him really sharp, I think. What are you thinking about this Caleb Plant fight?
He's gonna destroy Caleb Plant, because the thing is like this. Caleb Plant reminds me of, Caleb Plant's really good. He's a really nice fighter, but he doesn't have power. He's like a Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders was beating Canelo at the beginning, and he looks like he was winning some rounds. He was so totally in the fight, but it was just a matter of time. And Canelo is very smart. He knows, like, let's not get too excited. Eddie Reynoso, they know, let's not get too excited. Don't worry. Our time is gonna come. And then later, and then he got those, he's hitting the body and whatever. And so I think it's gonna be the same thing. Canelo's too strong for Caleb. A guy that has no resistance on you, that cannot keep you off. Are you kidding me? He's gonna walk right through you.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna take some shots early in the fight. Because Caleb does have skill, and he's also an intelligent fighter. But no, if you don't have power against Canelo, and with Canelo's technique, experience. Oh, you know what else impressed me with Reynoso?
Yeah,
he was the one that negotiated the deal.
Yeah, he did.
Negotiating, not the manager. That's pretty interesting.
Maybe I don't know. Is he the manager as well?
I'm thinking maybe he is, because watch the trainer negotiate the fight. But I think that's pretty cool.
Some trainers are the manager as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised when I read about that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that that fight's on. And now that I mean, Canelo's got a lot of fight left in him, and there's still interesting fights ahead for him at 168.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. So initially, like when before, well, when these the talk of the Plant and Canelo fight, they fell through and stuff. Then the talk of Canelo fighting Bivol, Dimitri Bivol came into the equation.
At what weight class? Bivol's a 175er.
I think that's 70, probably a 70. No, I think they're being at a catch-up. I don't know.
Catchweight? Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Because that's big. That's a pretty good size. That's a pretty good weight difference. 8 pounds from 168 to, or 7 pounds from 168 to 175. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Would he go up in weight and fight at 175? I doubt it. I think he controls all the cards, so a catch weight would make sense.
But I think like maybe he cleans the 168 out, and then he has to move up to, because there's big fish in the 175, and I'm not. And I know there's Benavidez at 168. And I know there's still some people to take care of there, but not as big as Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol. These are bigger fights.
Those are more the legacy fights if he goes up to 175. You're right.
And that's what he always talks about. He wants that legacy, just like Pacquiao always trying to fight the best because he just cared about the legacy.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. But we can't get too ahead of ourselves because we still got this November 6th fight coming up.
I know. I know.
I'm looking forward to it though.
Oh, like, I mean, Canelo's something to really, as my thoughts on the whole Plant Bureau, and then we talked about it and you explained it, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Regardless of whatever, the guy is something really special in boxing, so you can't negate that fact that he's a special fighter.
Absolutely. And right now I think he's pound for pound. Best pound for pound, although he wasn't ranked number 1 pound for pound. Who was ahead of him? Crawford. Well,
depending on what you generally, he's not in the top number 1 in a lot of the pound for pound that I see. You see Crawford, you see Errol Spence, or you see Inoue.
Yeah, you're right.
But I never saw Canelo. But he's up there.
Yeah, he's right now. From the last ranking I read, he was number 2.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's very fun to watch because he does throw beautiful combinations and with power.
Yeah.
You gotta love a fighter like that, man. What a difference, for watching this fight, which was fantastic. I really was entertained, the Pacquiao fight, compared to that stinker with Casemiro and Regondia.
Yeah.
What a difference in boxing, man. That's what boxing should be.
And Casemiro, he was there in the dressing room with Pacquiao and stuff.
He was,
the lead up to it, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So other fights, Doc, that are going on, and I told you about Dan Raphael's his would you follow that one?
I subscribe to it.
He's got all the fights, and I'm going through them right now, and he's got every fight that's happening.
Yeah, I saw
even
that.
as the smaller scale fights. But this is a good one, and we talked about this. I remember it was, and we're talking about in Leeds, England, Marcelo Lara fighting Josh Warrington in the rematch, and a featherweight division rematch. Give this kid so much credit for one, fighting at home, because that's hard. two fighting guy that beat you up. That's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Actually, that's going to be a fun fight to watch.
That's to me, and this is actually a good card. This is a zone card where finally there's more than one good fight on the zone card. The zone usually has one main event card fight that's good, but then there's Katie Taylor is fighting on here, and but so is Connor Ben is fighting Adrian Grandos. So that's going to be a good fight. That's going to be a good test from Connor Ben tested positive for steroids, and that's why the initial fight with Granados didn't happen. And now this time it's going to happen.
Yeah, I like that fight too. That's going to be an exciting fight.
And then I'm looking here, September 10th in Tucson, Arizona. We have Oscar Valdez against Robson Consecchio.
Is he the Puerto Rican?
No, he's a Brazilian.
Oh, Brazilian, right?
Gold medalist.
Who didn't he beat Valdez in the amateurs?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He beat him in the amateurs. So that, and then on the undercard is Gabriel Flores Jr. And this is another kid. Like, keep your eye on this kid because this kid is good, man.
Yeah,
really good kid.
Yeah,
from Stockton.
Long ago too. I think he fought on the night of Redondo on the undercard of that fight.
I can't remember that.
But he did fight recently. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was that one, but he did fight recently. Yeah, and this kid's really good. And then what else we have? Just see, these are just all the fights, like every fight. I'm just trying. Oh, and then we got the September 11th in LA at it's Triller Fight Club, and that's the return of Oscar De La Hoya. He's fighting Vito Belfort. 8 rounds. It's a real boxing match. 8 rounds.
Belfort, the Brazilian UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think they're fighting at 180 or something.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch it, but is it something I'm looking forward to?
Let's see what the Golden Boy does, man. I was always really hyped to always watch him fight.
Yeah,
always really hyped. It was
always fun to watch him fight.
It's kind of like Tyson when Tyson fought Roy Jones, and it was still appealing because Tyson's fighting, Roy Jones is fighting. You know, Del Hoy is fighting. You know, maybe we'll see him maybe one last time. You know, and then on the undercard is David Hayes coming back. Everyone's coming back nowadays and fighting Joel Fournier. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, don't know, but okay. They're almost like these, and let's not forget that on the undercard of the fight we just saw, the Pacquiao, was Victor Ortiz and Robert Guerrero.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I just, it was on, but I never even paid attention. And I know, Guerrero won?
Yeah,
he won, right?
But apparently it was a close fight. I didn't watch it either.
Yeah, I wasn't even.
Go back and watch it at some point. We'll see.
If you want to go to sleep, have a good sleep, go watch that fight. September 18th, then we have a big fight in Las Vegas on Showtime. Stephen Fulton Jr. and Brandon Figueroa. 12 rounds for the WBO, WBC, WBA junior featherweight unification.
Big fight.
Big fight. I'm already gonna go and pick. No, not yet. But I'm leaning towards Stephen Fulton Jr. because, like, he reminds me of Booth Ennis.
Yeah.
Like, I think those guys are really good friends, and they fight it like just one guy's a lot smaller.
And Figueroa is, again, he's a guy that always comes forward, throws punches and bunches.
Crazy.
But he can be hit too.
Yeah.
And against a skilled fighter, I kind of would put my money on Fulton Jr.
But you know what, Doc? Since you're saying that, because you're right, like Figueroa has that unprecedented aggressiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
against Lewis Neri, he made the guy, like, he made him fold, and Neri was undefeated.
Yeah, well, it was still a pretty good fight though that Neri put up, but he couldn't keep up with Figueroa.
That pressure, like, and so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, will we see, because Fulton Jr., but no, Fulton Jr. showed in his fight with his last fight, and that was for the, who did they fight there? Forget his name. I'm forgetting the name right now.
I know we won,
but he won the belt from him, I think. But
yeah,
but he stayed in the pocket. So he showed his ability to stay in the pocket, that he can stay there and fight and be really effective.
You're not getting him confused with Devin Haney, who stayed in the pocket.
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
I'm talking Fulton Jr., because
Okay.
Fulton Jr. was in the pocket and throwing hard punches. And
Yeah.
that's why they were asking him after, like, you could have made it easier because you're a really good slick fighter and stuff. But he's like, I wanted to put the pressure on. I wanted to put a show on. And that's
to be like a fight of the year candidate. That could be a really fun fight to watch.
That's an exciting fight.
I love that matchup. Woo.
Yeah. Oh, then we got in the same month. Then we have Anthony Joshua fighting Alexander Usyk.
Yeah.
For the WBO, IBF, WBA title. That's another big fight, but I just think Usyk is a cruiserweight, and he's not.
He had trouble with Chisora.
Yeah, Usyk. I know.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And Joshua is he's a beast.
And Joshua's saying that he's trimming down for this fight. Like, he's like, I don't want to be muscular, and like, well, he's going to be muscular, but he's trimming down in weight to come down in weight so he can deal with the quicker, Alexander Usyk is a 12-round fighter.
Yeah.
And deal with somebody like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see if that pays off for him or not. Yeah. I think I like to see fighters, when they're successful at a certain weight, stay at that weight. Don't come down for another fighter.
I know.
Stay where you're comfortable, where you're proven.
Don't make that mistake like Roy Jones did when he went up to heavyweight, then he went back down to light heavyweight. He lost all that power. And
I don't think I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I didn't see Chisora losing any weight to come down and fight Usyk. And again, he gave Usyk a tough fight.
He did. So, yeah.
I don't think to come down and weight, but he knows better, right? Their team knows better than we know. Possibly. And
then a couple weeks later, then we have, finally, we're going to see Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Is that in September as well?
No, that's October 9th. Early October.
Wow, what a great fall.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Finally we'll see that.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, that has to happen. And then they can get on to other business.
Here's a mouth-watering fight, Doc. Here. Yeah. October 23rd in Atlanta. ESPN Plus, Jamal Herring and Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Like, I'm always, I always have this sort of bend toward the older guy, I guess because I'm an older guy, a middle-aged guy, not older, I'm middle-aged.
Yeah.
But I always do. And I'd like to see Herring win that fight. But wow, they're both good fighters. That's a fun one too. Damn, that's a good fight.
I put that's a good fight, isn't it?
Putting Shakur in that, are you picking Shakur in that fight?
100%. I really believe I I think I've said it before. Like I feel like Shakur is probably the best guy. Like he's not even a prospect. Like, but there's a
Yeah, he's got
lot there's a lot of guys like Boots and it's like those guys are all Virgil Ortiz. They're all, but I feel like Shakur may be the best one that's gonna come out of those guys.
Maybe, man. Maybe also an Olympian. What did he win? A bronze, I think.
Silver.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
lost
maybe.
to Robsy Ramirez.
Yeah. I mean, either way, that's a good fight still. That's a good test for Shakur.
Oh, it'll get better than that.
And the other thing I read, I don't know if you heard, but Crawford was saying basically, Errol Spence, no disrespect, but you need me. That's what he was saying. You need me.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
He's right.
That's the fight we all want to see.
Yeah.
Because these are two top, not only pound for pound, but they're both undefeated.
They're 1 and 2, and depending on what organization, like whatever stat you look at.
And no like controversy in any of their wins. Like they parallel each other. So that's a fight we got to see if Spence can come back from his injury.
We got to see it. We got to see it. Like, we just hope that they can make it. They, the networks and whatever, the PBC and Top Rank, it looks like the Top Rank and Crawford is nearing an end with that relationship with Top Rank. So what if he goes to like Al Heyman, Crawford, which is most likely the talk that he's gonna go to Al Heyman, then that fight's gonna be easy to make, and then we'll see it.
That fight can happen.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna I think it can happen regardless, but because that would be a huge money fight, but that would be a big fight in the interest of pound, not just the top 147. But actually in the pound for pound race. And it's a legacy fight for both guys.
It doesn't get better than that. Undefeated guys, like, it doesn't get better and bigger than that.
I would not know how to pick that fight.
Yeah. Well,
pick it.
Well, when it happens, if it happens when it happens, we'll start debating about it then.
Yeah, we will.
Right.
Good
okay,
stuff.
Doc. So we're done for today's episode 50.
Good stuff.
And we'll be back for our next episode. And you guys follow us at Doc and the Boxer on our YouTube channel, and send us any questions, comments at docandtheboxer@gmail.com. And we're out.
Perfect, man. Good job, buddy.
All right, Doc.
Okay, talk to you next week.
Talk to you next time.
Okay.